In today's video, we'll be covering the second part of studying in Canada. This video covers how to apply for your study permit, including the landed property in your client's information would kind of show ties to your home country. This is because the visa officer wants to be convinced that you genuinely would return back to your country. Hey guys, you're welcome to my YouTube channel again. It's your girl WhizQueen back again with another video. So in today's video, we'll be covering the second part of studying in Canada. This video covers how to apply for your study permit. If you're new to this channel, thank you so much for joining this channel. Please consider subscribing down below and be sure to turn the post notification bell on as well so you can get notifications each time I post a new video. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for joining again. You know the vibe. Please give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to share with your friends and family. And also, I want to use this opportunity to inform you all that I have a book on 15 top immigration pathways to Canada. If you would like to get yourself a copy, you can check the link down below in the description. It's a do-it-yourself guide, which means that it covers 15 top immigration pathways, how to apply the entire process, the documents required, and every other information you would need on those 15 programs. In today's video, I'll be talking about how to apply for a study permit in Canada. If you're yet to see the previous video on how to find schools and how to choose a program, I'll link it up here. You can go check it there. I would also leave a link in the description so you can go watch that video. This video covers the process of applying for your study permit after the previous one. So the first thing before you can apply for a study permit is to get a letter of acceptance from a designated learning institution. How do you go about the process? How much would you spend? What's the process? What do you need to know? What documents would you need? That's pretty much everything we'll be covering in this video. First things first, how do you go about the process? So the first thing, after you've been able to get the letter of acceptance from the university or college or any designated learning institution you want to school in Canada, determine if you want to do a paper application or an online application. Usually applying online is the most recommended because your application could be processed faster and you can track your application online. So I'll be covering how to apply online in this video. So the first thing is for you to create an account on Government of Canada immigration website, and that's called IRCC. I'll leave the link down below. So once you create an account, you will be able to set up a username, a password, and security questions. So those security questions would help you to regain access into the account in case you forget your password or you forget the username or something. Once you have been able to set up those three things, you'll be required to accept the terms and conditions, which you will be expected to read. And once you check the box to accept the terms and conditions, then an account will be created for you. In this account, you can submit any form of application, study permit, permanent residency, or any kind of application. So once you have been able to create an online account, which is registering a GC key, then you can create an application. So the second thing after that is for you to create an application. Creating an application would mean that you're creating an application for study permit. Once you create an application, you'll be required to complete some personalized questions, which would include if you're coming to Canada to school for more than 6 months or less than 6 months. Do you have siblings in Canada? Are you married? Do you have is your partner coming with you to Canada? So the questions are usually personalized based on your responses. So if you say you are not married, then you would not be getting questions for you to fill in your spouse information. But if you get if you say you are married, for sure you'll be expected to get you would get the next question saying, is your spouse coming with you to Canada and all that. If your spouse will be coming to you to Canada, then you'll be required to provide some further information that the other person that their spouse is not coming to them to Canada would not be required to provide. I hope that makes sense. The questions are usually personalized based on the information you provide. So once you have created an application, you'll be required to complete the application forms. I would link some samples of the application form down below so you can see what it looks like. You'll be required to download the application form, open it up with Adobe Reader, and once you open it with Adobe Reader, you have access to type in information in that form. Then you save and re-upload back into your profile. Some of the forms that are usually more generic for everyone is like the family information form, application for study permit, and application for temporary resident visa. So temporary residence visa and study permit have two different applications. It's still in the same general application you're submitting, but the forms are different. So the application for study permit is what would allow you to study in Canada, while the temporary residence visa is what would allow you to be able to travel into Canada. So once you complete all the forms, you save them and you upload them back to your profile. You'd also be required to upload some documents. You'll be required to provide like some personal information, like your digital photo, your letter of acceptance from the institution, your birth certificate, and your international passport. So for your international passport, you'll be expected to upload all pages that has stamp in it. So if you had visited any country previously, make sure you upload that page that has a stamp on it. It counts, like it's very necessary. If you don't have any travel history, you are not required to upload all the pages. After you have provided the personal documents, you'll be required to also provide some other information, one of which is client information and financial information. The client information, I usually recommend for people to do it like a PDF document that you merge together. It's more like information that you need to provide for your application that will help you enhance your chances. So the first thing you would need to include in that client information is your statement of purpose or your study plan. We will be doing a separate video on how to write your statement of purpose and your study plan, or your study plan, regardless of whichever you want to call it. Some people also call it letter of explanation. They all mean the same. It's just a letter that is trying to convince the immigration officer or whoever will be working on your application that you genuinely want to come and study in Canada, why you chose Canada, and other information. Then after the statement of purpose, you would also be required to include your resume. You would also be required to include like your certificate, a copy of your certificate from your previous institution. If you studied a BSc or a diploma or whatever, you include that in there. If you have English language testing results, you can include that. It's not mandatory. University transcript as well, you can include that in that document. You'd also need to include like study leave. If you took study leave from your place of work, say you have a job right now and you are taking a 2-year or a 1-year study leave to go for a master's program in Canada, then you can also include that study leave letter. Just all the information that would help aid your application. You can include it in one merged PDF file that shouldn't be more than 4 megabytes. So most times I always advise people to compress the file. You try to upload it online, or you, whichever PDF measure you want to use, try to put everything all together and compress the file to less than 4 megabytes. Then also you need to ensure that the file is uploaded in a PDF format. You may use JPEG as well, but PDF is better because it makes it like really clear and you still have a certain level of quality. Even despite you compressing the file, you still be able to clearly see what's inside. So after you upload the client information, you would also be required to upload your financial information, which is one of the very most important documents in this application. The financial information would show how much you have in your bank account that you provide by you providing a bank statement from your bank. I always recommend for people to upload minimum of 4 months bank statement. You would also need to upload the bank statement of your sponsor. You'd need to get a sponsor letter from your sponsor as well. This is them saying that, oh, I'm willing to sponsor this person for this much of their education. I understand that the duration of the education is for 2 years or 1.5 years, and they are willing to sponsor you. You'd also need to include your sponsor's letter and your sponsor's bank statement. If you have paid your tuition fee, you would also need to include your tuition receipt or tuition deposit, whichever one you have. You have to include that in there, and any other information, any other documents that you think would help you financially. You can go as far as including documents like other soft or monetary documents. Say if you have like money market funds, or you have treasury bills, or all those kind of near liquid assets that you have, you can try to compose documents for them and include them in there. If you also have like if you have a landed property, you can also include it in your client information. Including the landed property in your client information would kind of show ties to your home country. This is because the visa officer wants to be convinced that you genuinely would return back to your country. So these are some of the documents that you would need to include in your application. So let's get to one of the very, very important part that I get lots of questions about, is how much do you need to have in your bank statement? I understand many people out there want to know how much is required of them to have in their accounts before they can proceed to apply for a study permit. To be honest, the amount is not specific. It depends on the institution or the school you gain admission to. So if you are schooling in a university that your tuition fee is 16,000 for a year, then your sponsor would need to have more than 16,000 in their account for to show proof of fund. Because if they say they want to sponsor you for a 2-year program and they have just 16k, then the visa officer will be wondering that this person that is sponsoring you will definitely have their other responsibility. They probably have other kids, they have their own life to live as well, and they need to take care of their other responsibilities. So having exactly 16,000 might be really sketchy. But if you have been able to pay your tuition fee and your sponsor is still able to show like a reasonable sum of money in the account, that's very good. Then also for living expenses, you are the applicant, you would need to show minimum of 10,000 Canadian dollars, which is your living expenses for 1 year. So if you're applying all alone and you are traveling to Canada by yourself, you would need to have minimum of 10,000 grand in your account. If you're applying with your spouse, say you're married or you have kids that you want to travel with you because you're coming to school in Canada, you would also have to provide proof of fund that you have sufficient funds to take care of you, your wife, and your kids. Yeah, for a minimum of 1 year. So you need to show enough proof of fund in your account. For single applicants, it's 10,000 grand for 1 year. People also ask, is it mandatory for you to pay your tuition fee before you can apply for study permit? Absolutely not. But if you pay your tuition fee or you pay the tuition deposit, it enhances the chances of your application, because this way the visa officer says that you've made some level of commitment towards your application. So if you're able to make a tuition deposit or to pay the tuition in full, you can include a receipt of your tuition deposit or tuition payment in your application. All these documents, your bank statement, your sponsor's letter, and everything, you would merge everything into one file that should be less than 4 megabytes and upload it in a stand in your application that is going to be for financial information. So after you have provided your client information, financial information, you have uploaded all the other documents that are required, you submit your application and you pay your fees. The application costs 150 Canadian dollars and $85 for biometrics fee. Once you pay your application fee and you submit your application, I think most likely within the next 2 days, 1 or 2 days, you'll be getting a biometric request. So you get a notification in the email that is linked to your application that you received a message. Once you sign in, you see the biometric request form there, you download it and you take it to the closest visa application center in your country, or VFS office as you may call it, wherever. So once you get in there, they take your fingerprints, picture of you, and all that information. Biometrics is basically taking your fingerprints. Once they get that information, then your application will be fully complete and it will begin processing. So once your application is under processing, most times the application processing time varies from country to country and depending on the period or the season you're applying for. So if you're applying for mostly fall, which is in September, there will be quite a lot of application processing at that time, and it might take longer than someone that is applying for winter semester, which is January. It usually varies from 5 weeks to 8 weeks to 12 weeks. It all depends. It's not it's not static. It depends on a lot of other factors. Once your application is processing, once your application gets to a certain stage, you would be required to provide medical request. You get the medical request and you need to go to an approved medical center in your country to get your medicals done. And you upload the file, not the result, just like an information sheet that IRCC have access to see the result of your medicals. You upload that form back, and you may also get a request for you to complete or provide a police clearance certificate. This is most likely depending on the countries you visited or a country that you stayed for more than 6 months. So once you provide the police clearance certificate for whichever country it is, you upload it in there, then your application will also continue to be processed. Then once your application is approved, tada, that's the good news, then you'll be required to send your passport for visa. This visa is the temporary residence visa and it would be affixed onto your passport. You would need to provide this to you will need to show this passport at the airport or at the border when you are coming into Canada, and you will also be sent a letter of introduction. This letter of introduction is what you would need to show at the border to the Canadian Border Services agent that would issue you your study permit. Your study permit will be given to you when you arrive in Canada, but you would need to get the letter of introduction. That is what you'll be required to provide for you to get the study permit, and the letter of introduction will be sent to you upon approval of your application. So that's pretty much the summary of how to apply for your study permit. If you have any questions about this, don't forget to leave them down below. I'm more than excited to take your questions. If you have any video suggestion for me, don't hesitate to leave them down below as well. If you are yet to subscribe, please do so right away. Subscribe down below and be sure to turn the post notification bell on so you can get notifications each time I post a new video. The next video I'll be covering for the Studying in Canada series would be writing your statement of purpose. Stay tuned and watch out for that video. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed watching it, and don't forget to share with your friends so they can learn something new as well. If you would like to check out my book as well, the link is down below. It covers 15 top immigration pathways to Canada. Don't forget to check me out on social media as well. I'll see you all in my next video. In the meantime, stay confident. Bye bye.